Suppose there was a KCTP, it has financials, it has share price, it has other things. Now, moving forward, uh, there are few news that can affect the business. For example, uh, there used to be a time when this telecommunication used to be have exchanges. So you first need a physical exchange which transfer the signals, and we used to have a home landlines coming from a cable, so which has already transformed into a software. So software works a different way and the hardware base was different. So if a new technology will come, what it is going to affect the KCTP. For example, today government says that we are no more giving a grant for biotechnology. So if you remember that KCTP tenants are biotechnology, they are doing research and development, taking money, for example, grants from the government. So if the government will stop the grant, what you will do? They will close their offices and go. So your occupancy level will go down, your revenue, your defaults, your receivables, everything will be distorted. So these kind of informations are important to consider when we are analyzing. So the first is university focus on knowledge exchange. So universities used to be evaluated on the strength of their teaching and research. Now we know that very interestingly, for example, in the case of COVID-19 vaccination, these two scientists which were getting popular for Pfizer, they are scientists. They don't know how to sell. A scientist cannot sell his own invention. You need a mechanism. So the scientific research will come, then a commercial minded company will take up, and a big size company like Black Rose, the funding investment company will come and put the investment. So the wheel of the business will go into different stakeholders. Same way, tech park also, technology universities will do research. They will bring it to the tenants of the tech park, so it's an ideal combination. But both are becoming increasingly overshadowed by the need of demonstrate relevance, so-called real world. That has created the concept of knowledge exchange, which involves transferring the result from the research studies to the business and other area of activities. Now, if you know that, for example, Oxford is doing research all the time on different things. Americans, MIT is researching on the cancer and different stuff. And these are research laboratories. They bring success to the businesses. So it's a combination. University promotion boards are no longer content to count the number of learned papers written by an applicant for a covenant senior lecturers or professors. At least some of the findings of those papers must have demonstrable application to the real world, perhaps through the provision of consultancy work and a sale of patent to a commercial organization. So it's a good change that, they are pushing professors and researchers to not only be theoretical. Because research has two sides. One is applied side, and one is the theoretical side. So applied side means that you are really contributing to the world with your research. So most major universities has established knowledge exchange or knowledge transfer partnership teams whose role is to approach potential external contacts in order to pitch ways in which a mutually advantageous knowledge can be developed. So this is a way where universities are looking for the people like who are in tech parks, tenants, and they can collaborate with the research and make it commercially viable. Here we have a daily news. He says that the top scientist cannot build their own invention. This I told you, like a scientist cannot sell himself. They need different people, stakeholders who will make their research sellable, and they will get a patent, and the other people will also make their own monies. So movies often portrayed research as a glamorous process. Like some movies of Hollywoods, they show that some are researching and he make a virus, and this virus spread in this 2014-15 movies, with scientists tolling in high-tech laboratories packed with sophisticated equipments. They always succeed in making major breakthrough like this COVID-19 vaccination just in time to save the world from the major disasters. Those same movies really portray the process of taking a research finding from a laboratory to a real world. Yeah, that's the real chunk, that how to commercialize the research. That's the main point. Here also we need to see like COVID came in 2020 in the rest of the world. In China, it came in September 2019, and it is SARS 2, so they have a SARS 1 as well. But in this case, figures are really important. We need to see that if we closing everything 2019, then the COVID effect we cannot take in our case. But if it's 2020 ending, any question comes into, so of course, that time we need to decide according to the information given in the question. Many leading scientists are happy to admit that they would not know how to operate the equipment in the factory that they supply with inventions. That's true. They did the main strategic work. All procedural matters will be done other way. Like anyone who makes bomb does not mean that he knows how to fire a bomb. That makes no sense. For example, scientists involved in DNA sequencing might spend months in a laboratory working on the science associated with developing a gene that will improve, say, yield from the grain crops. The difficult science then gives ways to process that is closer to cooking than to scientific research, and is more suited to a factory setting than a laboratory. So his point is very simple, that scientists are good at science research. They do a lot of breakthrough, but the next level need to be done by someone else. It's a similar story with other area of technology in real life. The white-coated engineers in spy thriller would probably have to email their design to a local electronic factory. So it's a perfect combination that there are startup companies, they do the design, and the big companies take up, and the researcher in universities are doing research. So that makes a nice feeling. IT monthly simulation takeoff. So he says IT professional has noted a marked increase in demand for programmers. Yes, that's true. When a technology advances, so programmers are required to do that, like scientists who can help in development of a computer simulations. So you will study in finance Monte Carlo simulation methods, which is creating some artificial scenarios and see how the proposition goes on. So if you do it with computers, it's costly, it's expensive, but it is still very useful for the world. So previously, engineer would build scale models on their design and would test them to the destruction in an engineering laboratories. Means old style. New style is using a high chip computer, heavy software is giving phenomenal, and the advancement is robotic simulations, which is the latest. For example, an aeroplane wings would be mocked up, and if effect efficiency test in a wind tunnel. If the wind passed through those tests, it would then be twist. twisted and bent to see whether it should stand up the stress. Physical testing, you can say physical testing as old way. I made something I took on the road and I'm saying wind is coming that way. But simulations in computer, you create a artificial atmosphere and test it. That's more quick and faster and more reliable also, and more you can say variety oriented as well. Now the same tests are often conducted using a virtual model, virtual environment. The design is developed using software and tested during running the computer model through many different simulations that mimic the test would have conducted in laboratory settings. That has the advantage of permitting the design to be adapted and retested very quickly at a very little cost. You might be surprised that a couple of years before this Boeing planes used to get a fire and plane burn. But now, after this simulation and software engineering, um, it's very rare chance that a engine can get a fire because there is a software installed in a motor in a machine, and you as a controller are looking to the dynamics. So if you feel something is going towards the fire, you have ability to stop it. So that's why software simulation techniques they are growing. His point is that how it is going to affect the KCTP, where you have the companies tenants who are based on traditional models. So I can see here we can apply a SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. That KCTP in this particular scenario, what will be the opportunity for KCTP? What should be the threat? What should be the weaknesses and all that? Let's move forward. We are almost in the end. So 3D printers take off. We all heard about 3D printing and it's getting really popular and people are using it quite decently. Recently in Dubai also they make a full building with 3D technology. So 3D is growing. Of course, it has its own challenges, but still 3D has been into market. So companies are making increasing use of 3D printing technology to assist in the design and prototype of their products. Design engineers have make heavy use of industry standard computer assisted CAD. CAD is a very popular software if you sit with any developer like construction persons. They do everything in CAD, and of course they mix up with some new latest softwares as well. So they these packages to draw individual parts that can be assembled into a finished product. In the past, the drawing produced on CAD packages were generally passed on a fabricator in order to create a physical object based on the image of the screen. So it's talking about the old technology, how it works. Then the fabrication process is becoming increasingly dependent upon 3D printing, which uses machinery to create an exact physical representation of the design. So 3D is revolutionizing things. When it was first introduced, 3D printing was of the limited use because of the early machine could build up only small items. As I told you, now 3D can build up a real building in 7 to 8 days as fast as you think, depending how much you invest in the machine. Modern machine can create large objectives and they can use a growing range of materials, including carbon, fiber, and even metal as well. So you can make a steel product, for example, from a 3D printing. 3D printing is the future so far until a new leak comes. Versatility of 3D printing is very changing the way some items are manufactured. For example, aircraft manufacturers might not hold inventory of any spare parts provided they are suitable for 3D printing. Because what is 3D printing? It's like a printing from a laser printer. So if we need a bolt for Boeing, so I mean, we can print it based on how much time it takes. We don't need to keep an inventory. If you visit the Boeing plant in Align, you will feel that all this 3D. I saw, if you know this, GE, General Electric, they have an office in Masdar City. So they have put all these 3D printing machines, heavy size, and they show it as innovation center. So they are really good. If an aircraft says a broken switch, then the CAD files for the part can be sent to a suitable printer that could be on the other side of the world. The part can then be created and taken to the airport in order to get the plane back in air. So this means that 3D technology is going to change the world, the manufacturing world and the design world. So because some of our tenants, KCTP tenants, are designers, so it's a time to upgrade and adapt these changes. And even KCTP should have exhibition conferences to bring awareness and those key players in order to increase the parks innovation as their mission objectives. So there is nothing as practical as good theory. So it says that digital computers work on the basis that data can be stored and processed using switches. They are binary. So if you remember that when we made the computer long time before, only the one who made it can use it. And how they use it, 0101 combination of different digits. So computer transform from generation 1, then generation 2, generation 3, it becomes little easier. I remember the first time when I used the computer, there was a dark screen and I used to write Win32. So when I enter, then the colorful screen of blue type Windows used to run. Then this Word Excel comes into. And then, of course, now we have GUI environment. GUI environment means that it's a graphic user interface rich. And even now we have Google Talk. So this is all technology. But back of the computer is binary still, like 0-1 combination. In other words, they are either on or off. That works well in most computer applications such as banks storing their customer records because they are intended to apply logical and consistent rule where the current outcomes is not in doubt. So banks require a lot of more security. That's why he said yes and no, on and off. Computer do however struggle with tasks where the models are uncertain and thus difficult to stimulate, such as weather forecasting. Like a Google Map or a Met Office softwares, because you need to create everything cannot be done with the artificial stimulation, like weather. He gave an example. So quantum mechanism is a field of science. This is another technology because we are talking about a tech park. So the quantum that draw on the complex phenomenon. So if there is a situation like a weather forecast, which is based on statistics and some based on other inferred models. So complex phenomenon that occur at a molecular level. Now, those complexity makes it possible to model uncertainty that cannot be addressed using conventional means where the traditional ways fails, there is nothing hope. There is quantum mechanics comes. For example, a digital computer can decode encrypted data by working mathematically through the various possible keys to the code until the correct key is discovered by so-called brute force. What is brute force? Brute force is actually a software. I used to have this because sometimes, I download data from the internet. It is password protected. So how to break the password? So I was Googling, I find a software who breaks any password of the PDF. So I bought it and it really worked for me. These are brute force softwares. Brute force software, they apply different combination of passwords and whoever clicks, they break it and it takes in seconds. So he's talking about that software that can code and decode. What is encryption? Encryption means the encrypted data here. He says encryption means that converting data into code. So anyone in between who have access to your information, he cannot understand that how the data has been coded because you know, and it will be decoded uh, on the end of the receiver. So, for example, in WhatsApp, sometimes we see that now WhatsApp communication is encrypted. So, what does it mean? That it means that they want to say that the communication from you and your recipient will be coded, and in between, say, Etisalat and Oman Tel, for example, even because they have access to, they are the one who transferring this information, so they can see what information has been transferred. So even if they want to see, they cannot understand because it will be encrypted. So means converted into a code which will be decoded on the receiver end. So that's what he want to say. However, with high level of encryption, it might take even the fastest computer hundred of years to try even every key until the code is broken. In contrast, a quantum computer program with the logic of quantum would try every possible at once and open the file instantly. So the one I had, it was based on quantum because it takes in seconds and break the PDF passwords. So the quantum mechanics and the quantum computers will use their logics that support the development of many new products, including more effective pharmaceutical and stronger, lighter materials. So he's saying that it is a new innovation. So KCTP has to take this innovation, try to attract to more seminar, invite all the tenants and try to attract new tenants who are into quantum businesses so they can retain their occupancy levels. So here we need to do the strategy analysis. And there are some people like you will study, there is a matrix called ANDs of. But forget AND-OFF, we are also AND-OFFs. Like we can invent, we can think, for example, there's a model he says that if you want to grow your business, so think about uh, market development, develop a market, develop a new product. If you have existing product, try to increase the share. And nowadays, latest portfolio management says don't put your egg in one basket. So you have to spread your businesses into different. So you go for diversification, right? So this is all logical, which is told by ends of. So it becomes a model. I don't agree. It's a model. We need to go through a rational approach. We can bring better models. That's fine. I mean, it's a strategic thinking. Models, okay, we can remember and relate in the questions as well, that what would be the question. So this is the last one. It says, how green is the cloud? Now we are into cloud world, cloud technology. No need physical hardwares. You have Apple, you have Samsung, Google, all these clouds are available. It has transforms the business mechanism. I remember previously in finance department, we spent a lot of time sitting with IT department that they are buying servers, SQLs. So then our ERP will run on it. We are thinking about backup. There is a bit of troubleshooting. But now cloud-based Oracle, SAP, no hardware requirement, nothing, just pay as per user. So things has really changed. Anyway, so researchers at Capital City University, which owns 20% of the KCTP, has discovered many computer users underestimate the electrical power required by the cloud-based computing services. Means he's talking about a service provider who provides cloud like Google, Amazon, and this Microsoft. They are big cloud-based companies. Cloud computing is a broad term used to describe the storage and sometimes the processing of the data at a remote size. It's not mentioned here, but cloud is four things actually. The most popular is SaaS, but cloud as a platform, cloud as a storage, cloud as an infrastructure, right? And cloud as a user. These are four purpose fields in cloud. Cloud means if I don't want to build up a hardware structure, I can buy an infrastructure from, say, Google, Amazon. They have these hard drives, big size, and they are allocating to a user. Cloud services can be public, meaning that they are accessed over the internet. Private means they are only followed by a firewall, such as employees who are accessing a corporate cloud. Yeah, so there are two type of encryptions actually. One is public and one is private. So depending like who is gonna access, like Gmail account is a public access, anyone log in Gmail. But if it is say Nestle.com, so Nestle employee is only going to, and it's a employee portal, so only they will use. So firewall is always play a very important role. It create a physical barrier, physical and virtual barrier between outer world and the inside world. The researchers concluded that the data centers that are used to host cloud-based services are generally far more efficient than running individual computers in home and offices. So I think it's a very good opportunity for KCTP because they have internet services and they have tenants. So if they go into a cloud based, and as I told you, cloud as a user, cloud as a infrastructure, cloud as a platform, if they give all these options, it will be a very good source of revenue. How, and even they can attract those talents as well who are into this business. However, the data has to be transported between the data center and the user device. So it's like, when you take a picture in your mobile and if you allow your cloud to cloud it, so immediately it clouded and then he send you a message that do you want to delete on your device in order to have your space. If you say yes, it will delete from the device, but it will be stored in the cloud. How the data has to be, so he says that can consume a considerable amount of energy. Yes, when a laptop or your device is under clouding, so all mechanisms and energy and batteries, they are too much in used. And even the company who's clouding, they are having an extra power requirement that time because their CPUs and their RAMs are actively using the electricity and energy. In some uses more electricity than data storing and shortage. Yeah, so from device to your cloud, data is transferring and then storage. That's the next step. The researcher do not argue that the cloud is inefficient, but the energy saving associated with using cloud-based services are often overstated. But see, it's an argument that cloud is inefficient. But if you see inefficient, but so it's the opportunity for the company to do a research and make this energy issue more efficient. So, a disclosure of corporate carbon's footprints may also exclude the impact of energy consumed by the third-party cloud server providers working on the corporation behalf. So here we are end with this 24 pages case study, which was really interesting. I can say that this is based on technology, which covers your corporate governance, business. So what it covers is business ecosystem, where you can apply some models like SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities analysis, where we can use a pestle analysis called political, economical, social, technological, environment, and legal analysis. We might feel to use it. Hands off, I told you. Then the strategic value creation, like what are your strategy, choices, implementations. So that will be covering. Interesting part is risk management, internal controls, corporate governance, and finance is for sure, and new things happening in the world. These are the dimensions that this case is gonna take care of.